Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Modern Engineers. Today we're going to be doing a ship tour of some of my unfinished builds. There will be another one coming out soon for the kid class over here in the slipway, but we're going to focus today on Chimera. This will be a little bit quicker because the ship is unfinished and she is very much a work in progress, as you can see just from the paint lines alone. She's about a year and a half old now. She's my biggest project I've ever undertaken so far. She's about 883 feet, about 260 meters, and she is a beast. I don't intend to build more than one of these. So for the concept of her design, she is based off of a Kiev class aircraft carrier from the Russians. That is her main inspiration for her hull, because I needed a vessel that was capable of standing on its own because of my limited ship numbers. But there's been some modifications. For example, I've hopefully addressed her stability issues. I've also hopefully adjusted the frame enough that she actually might not have any weapon issues and armor issues. The other inspirations for her design are a Wasp class LHD, which makes her amphibious assault capable, and we've also inspired by a Iowa class battleship for her interior spaces. As you can see here, I'm on the flight deck, and we have these missile launchers here. She's going to have one key feature that the Kiev never had, which is, well, NATO armaments. She's going to have VLS, some massive weapons up front. She's already got three 208 twin-barreled heavy artillery, which makes her capable of naval fire support and capable of standing on her own. But the biggest feature is her spy arrays, which are up on the superstructure, and they're very much her whole emphasis is based around her air defense capability, because she's going to be on her own, and because of her, well, helicopter carrier style ship, she's not exactly going to be capable of fighting off fighters by herself. With other fighters. So she's not going to be very effective at launching air wings. In fact, she's probably only going to carry one air wing and a couple of helicopters and anything to support ground invasions. She's less of an aircraft carrier, more of a helicopter carrier. But she's got some inspirations from the LHD, like this large ramp here. She's also has a decent enough sized flight deck to store aircraft on board. Her superstructure is very much inspired by the Kiev, or the Minsk, I believe is her name, with these phased array panels on her superstructure. We also have a nice big smokestack. I love the design so far in her structure. The best part about taking this long to build a ship is just how much time I have to actually put forth the effort into it. We're going to go here to the main crew deck. This is right underneath the flight deck. This is going to house, well, the crew amenities and other things like workshops and building areas. There's going to be a CIC, and you can see it's pretty empty right now. There hasn't been a lot of time to put into the interior of the ship. We have a forward magazine up here for the VLS access. You see it's not much of the forward areas here. The idea is to get her floated, which means that the heavy priority has been on her underwater spaces and waterline spaces to get her in the water, not so much her above the waterline areas. They're not really that important right now. Now, it doesn't mean that I haven't worked on them, because I'm trying to figure out the design as I go, which is what's taking the longest part. The kid class is going to be taking a lot less time because I've actually designed it on paper before I've actually put the ship in the water. That being said, this is the main passageway. It's on the center line, goes all the way back, and this is the main medical area. One of my doors is missing. We'll have to fix that. This is the refrigeration area. There's a fan room behind here that pushes air around the ship. And you see it's a pretty decently sized medical area for a capital ship. It has main access to this ramp here so that people can get right up to the flight deck if they need to be evacuated. We're going to continue down it. The ramp here is mostly for vehicles such as like forklifts or anything like that. They're not really designed for aircraft, but they can be used for aircraft if needed. They're just, it's a small ramp. Here's the hangar deck. We're going to move aft here. We'll start moving our way back toward the stern here. You can see there is still very much a work in progress. I'm kind of about, I want to say 70% towards the next goal, which is getting her in the water. Here you can see the access for her flight deck elevators. Still kind of trying to figure out how to design them. And then here, her WASP inspiration continues with a LHD well deck for getting vehicles up onto this deck. Now, I can store vehicles on board. I'm still a little tight for space, so I'm not so sure how it's going to fit all perfectly in here. But I'm pretty sure that this forward section of the hangar is going to be used to store vehicles. Those are fan rooms, by the way, that go all the way down to the engine rooms of the ship. She's a big ship. She needs a lot of air. So we're going to move forward here. There is a mess deck up here, which isn't finished yet, which is stationed on top of the garbage room. So we're going to keep going. It goes up a little bit over here as well. We have some shore power connections, which are going to go in there. Those sockets there, those are going to be for shore power connections. We also have the windlass and anchor area. I'm still working on trying to find the best way to do the anchors mod. I'm still not very confident in it. You see these large trunks here. Those are for air for the ship. Now that we're on this, this is the main DC deck before it starts getting split up. Over here, we have the forward collision bulkhead. So we can lose up to this portion of the ship and the ship will stay floating. This is the computer room for her AI units. And then we're going to have a storage room down here for food and stuff like that. Moving aft, we have one of our first engineering spaces, but we're going to move past that. We're going to stay on this deck first. This is Broadway, and this is the garbage room. So you can see there's still some work in progress stuff. This was originally designed for the daily needs life support system, so there was a need for a garbage room, but not so much anymore. I'm still kind of torn on the loss of the daily needs mod. I'm very tempted to put it back in, but it'll break, so I haven't decided on it yet. But it had waste systems for collecting waste and burning it all down. The Broadway here is from the Iowa class inspiration. There's even some DC repair lockers in those little areas. We have escape scuttles to every space, and it kind of splits up each engine room. Here we have one of their AC spaces. This is providing cooling water to our batteries and other vital areas. Over across the P-way over here, we have CCS, which, again, unfinished, but it'll have controls for the entire engine room. Moving further back, we have another DC repair locker. We got a refill station over here. And it's pretty buttoned up over here, so nice and tight. Moving further back, this is where my progress stopped before the transfer. We have a large AC space. This is feeding the superstructure as well as the engine room below. I have to separate AC rooms based on batteries and load centers, so they're going to be above every engine room. Here where you can see it starts to taper off of the completed sections of the ship. Here we have just Broadway, just running all the way back. There's another fan room. This is how it transfers the air into the engine rooms and remains watertight. And then here we have the after section of the ship where Broadway just sort of ends right now. I'm still kind of figuring out how I'm going to transition to this area so far. This is an auxiliary space for generators, which is about to get redesigned because of hydrogen demands and requirements. We're going to move back here, and this hasn't been divided up yet as well, but this is after steering, so we can control the ship from back here in the case that we lose the pilot house and still maintain control of the ship. It's been a new feature that I'm trying to do on most of my ships. These two large tanks here are ballast tanks for the well deck operations, so the ship can sink slightly aft and be able to basically lower herself into the water to allow amphibious operations to be a little bit smoother. So we're going to move back forward and start with our auxiliary spaces. And like I said, most of these are finished spaces, so you see right here. Most of these spaces up forward are close to finished, if not pretty finished. We're going to start with the number 1 generator room. This is probably all about to get redesigned again, but this is a vent trunk for pulling in air into the engine. There is a exhaust trunk as well for pushing air out. This is one of my 20 kilowatt generators, though it's probably about to get redesigned for hydrogen needs. You can see here we have our filtration system for generating water and hydrogen and oxygen for the living spaces, and it all kind of got filtered, sorted, and I love using colored pipes for telling me what's actually going through them. So in this case it was filtered water, or potable water, which is a light blue on most ships. She's still very much a work in progress, you can see here, but the goal is to get every underwater space airtight as soon as possible and mostly finished, so that she can be floated out and I can get my dry dock back. And then she'll move to a floating pier, not a floating pier, a regular pier where she can be fitted out and hopefully put to operation within the next year. Yes, I said year. I have been building this game for a long time, and I have no intentions of slowing down or speeding up. Anyway, let's go to our first real engineering space. This is the fire room. Now, I'm not sure what happened, but there used to be a fuel oil boiler mod, and I was intending to replace these boilers with fuel oil ones because of my proximity to fuel. But these are the coal boilers, and it's actually pretty clean in here. I haven't really done much aside from... This is my most finished engineering space, and it looks really good and clean, and I'm not sure I'm going to do much more than that. There isn't really much requirement. There's an escape scuttle for every engineering space so that you can get out in case something happens. This design is to be as reliable, but also as armored as possible. So, for example, if I take a hit in this area, I won't lose stability on the ship. Now we're going to go to our first engine room, and this is where you can see that the building has still continued. I have 2 turbines, a low pressure and a high pressure. This is designed based off of modern steam systems, especially on marine steam systems. So this is as accurate as I can get within the realms of space engineers and remain functionality. The steam buffer tank there's a load center over here. We also have some water for the AC system going up through here. You see the blue water here for chill water, which I'm thinking about changing the color. We'll figure that out. And then the steam buffer tank here I'm using as a condenser to take the steam and turn it back into, well, boiler feed water to then return to the turbines. This is my most powerful ship in the terms of wattage. She can produce a lot of energy. Let's move down to this next fire room. And you can see there's a lot more going on in this one because there's a lot more systems. This is directly under the superstructure, so we're trying to feed as much we can to the superstructure and transfer materials up when they're needed. So you can see the lifeline there going up to the superstructure. Moving back, we have, again, this is where my work kind of stalled because of the move. And then we have another, this is fire room number 3. You see the shafts go running all the way through the ship. That's one of my house rules, that the propeller shaft has to be coupled to the engine. And then that's pretty close to what's it. It continues that way all the way back. I'm going to show you the rare opportunity of underneath the ship, because once she's in the water, she's not going to come out for a very long time. Here she has 4 rudders for propellers, and I'm hoping to get a theoretical 39 knot top speed. Hopefully. I doubt it. She's quite big, quite massive, and yeah, I'm not so sure that I'm going to meet that top speed requirement. But here's hoping. I'm leaving this area open in case I need to add stabilizers, because the Kiev class was known for being very unstable, if that makes sense. There's still a lot of work that has to go on, and I do work on her quite often when I can. I do hope that you enjoyed this quick little tour. As I said, the superstructure is very much unfinished. She's gonna remain unfinished until the ship really gets in the water and the requirement comes. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this show so far, and I hope that this was a little bit enlightening to the madness that is, well, inside my brain. Expect another ship tour out here so hopefully soon on the destroyer, and then in the next couple episodes we'll be building stuff, so you might actually get a little insight on how I go about building these new ships. Anyway, in the meantime, hope you all had fun, and catch you on the flip side.